The air inside the auction hall was heavy and full of noise. Aliens of many shapes and sizes filled the seats, all watching the center stage. The auction was famous across the galaxy, where rare beings and strange creatures were sold to the highest bidder. Today was the special night, the final day of the auction, where the most dangerous prize was promised. The auctioneer, a tall, insect-like alien with sharp claws, stood proudly on the stage. He banged his staff on the floor, and the crowd became quiet. "Ladies and gentlemen of the stars," he announced loudly, "we have reached the final item of this grand auction." A heavy door behind him slowly opened with a deep creaking sound. Two massive guards dragged in a figure covered in chains. The lights focused on the prisoner, revealing a tall female alien, her skin dark purple with glowing blue patterns, like rivers on her body. Her hair was silver, long and wild. Her eyes shone with a strange golden light. Even in chains, she stood. Tall and proud, her face calm, but her gaze sharp like a blade. The crowd gasped. Some whispered in fear, others in excitement. "That's her," someone whispered. "The untamable one." "Yes," the auctioneer continued. "This, my friends, is Zara, the last of her kind. She is strong, fast, and deadly, created by an ancient race for war. She has killed every master who tried to control her. No species has been able to break her." The guards holding her looked nervous, their weapons ready in case she tried to escape. Zara said nothing, but her eyes scanned the room slowly, as if memorizing each face. She looked like a queen. Chained but undefeated, the auctioneer raised his voice. "Who dares to bid for this mighty prize? Who thinks they can own the untamable one?" But the hall was silent. No one moved. No one raised a hand. Many had the credits to buy her, but none had the courage to try. Minutes passed. The auctioneer grew impatient. "Come now," he shouted. "Surely someone is brave enough. Think of the power she holds." But still, silence. Zara smiled slightly, a cold smile, enjoying their fear. Just when the auctioneer was about to declare the item unsold, a voice from the back spoke up. "I'll buy her." The words were calm, but they echoed in the silent hall. All heads turned, searching for the speaker. It was a human male, standing alone, wearing a simple jacket and boots. His face was calm, his eyes serious, but kind. The auctioneer blinked in surprise. "A human? Buying her? Are you sure?" The human stepped forward, showing his credit chip. "I'm sure," he said. "I'll pay the full price." The crowd started murmuring loudly. Some laughed. Others shook their heads. "What is this human thinking?" One alien said, "He will die the moment she is freed," said another. The auctioneer shrugged. "Your death is your own choice, human." He accepted the payment and then asked, "Shall we deliver her in a containment pod? Or—" The human shook his head. "No pod," he said. "Unchain her." Now the room exploded in noise. The guards looked at each other, confused and afraid. "Sir?" "She'll kill him instantly," one guard warned. But the human stood firm, unchained. "Her," he repeated, his voice strong. The auctioneer laughed. Brave or foolish, I cannot say. He nodded to the guards, who hesitantly unlocked the chains. The heavy metal fell to the floor with loud thuds. Zara was free. Everyone held their breath, expecting her to attack the human, to tear him apart. But Zara did not move. She stared at the human, eyes glowing. Brighter, she stepped forward slowly, her steps light but powerful. She stood in front of him. Taller than him by a head, she looked down, her expression unreadable. Then finally she spoke. "Why didn't you fear me, human?" Her voice was deep, smooth, but heavy with power. The human smiled gently. "Because I didn't buy a slave," he said. "I bought a partner." The crowd was shocked. Zara tilted her head, curious. "A partner?" she repeated, as if testing. "The word, no one has called me that before?" The human nodded. "Come with me, Zara," he said. "I need your help, and in return, I will give you freedom." Zara stared at him, then room watching in silence. Then she smiled. "But this time, It was real, not cold. "Very well human," she said. "Let's see what kind of partner you can be." Together, they walked out of the auction hall. The crowd watched in stunned silence, unsure if they had just witnessed a man saving his life or marching to his death. But one thing was certain: the story of the untamable alien girl and the human who dared to buy her had just begun. No one had ever seen this before. A human walking side by side with the most dangerous alien ever sold. Some in the crowd whispered that he was brave, others said he was insane, but Zara, the untamable girl, followed him not because she was forced, but because she was curious. She wanted to know why this human was different. Why did he dare to free her? Why did he call her a partner? They reached the docking bay where the human ship was waiting. It was not a warship, nor was it a luxury craft. It was old, scratched, and carried the marks of many battles, yet it stood like a survivor just. Like him, Zara paused at the ramp. She looked at the human. "You never told me your name," she said, her voice calm. The human smiled faintly. "Reed," he said. "Captain Reed, captain of this rusty thing?" Zara raised an eyebrow. Reed chuckled. "She may be rusty, but she's never failed me." Zara stepped aboard, her eyes scanning the small ship. It was messy, but alive, filled with tools, maps, and half-wrapped equipment. "What exactly do you want from me, Captain Reed?" Zara asked, crossing her arms. Reed didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to a panel and pressed a button. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed a dark sector of space, swirling like a storm. "This," Reed said, pointing, "is the Abyss sector. Most species don't even go near it because ships that enter never return." Zara watched the hologram with interest. "And you plan to go there?" she asked. "Yes," Reed replied, "because something is waking up inside the Abyss." He pressed another button, and an image appeared. It was blurry, but it showed something massive, with tentacles, eyes, and teeth like mountains. Zara's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" she asked. "They call it the Void Maw," Reed said softly. "It's not just a beast. It's a planet eater, a living void that consumes everything." He looked at Zara seriously. "And I need your help to face it." Zara laughed, the sound deep and echoing. "So you didn't buy a partner?" She said. "You bought a shield." Reed shook his head. "No," he said. "I bought a chance. Chance to stop the end before it begins." Zara stared. At him, then at the hologram. She could feel something dark even from the image. A pressure, like a whisper at the back of her mind. She knew this creature. It was something her creators had feared. An ancient enemy that no one had defeated. "Why me?" she asked. "There are stronger armies, bigger ships." Reed smiled slightly. "Because you're not just strong," he said. "You're stubborn, wild, and you don't like being controlled, and that's exactly the kind of fighter I need." Zara tilted her head. "Flattery won't save you," she said. Reed laughed. "It wasn't flattery. It's the truth." For a moment there was silence between them. Then Zara spoke. "If I help you, what do I gain?" she asked. "Freedom." Reed nodded. "Yes, but more than that," he said. "You get to choose who you become after this. No chains, no masters." Zara thought deeply. For years, she had been a weapon, a slave, a prize, but this was the first time someone offered her choice. "Very well, Captain Reed," she said finally. "I'll help you. But I fight my way, no orders." Reed smiled. "Agreed," he said. "I don't give orders to partners." As the ship prepared to leave, Zara sat quietly, staring at the stars. For the first time in her life, she felt something strange. Not duty, not rage, but excitement. She was about to face a terror that could devour worlds. She would face it as herself, not as a weapon, but as Zara. Reed watched her from the pilot seat. He knew this was risky, maybe suicidal, but deep down, he believed in one thing. Sometimes the wildest allies are the ones fate sends when the galaxy is in danger. The engines roared to life, the ship lifting off the station, and together, the human and the untamable alien girl sped into the darkness, where the Void Maw waited, hungry and eternal. Their story was just beginning, and the galaxy would never forget it. Zara stood at the window of the ship, watching the endless stars slide by like rivers of light, but her mind wasn't on the stars. It was on the strange human named Reed. She had been bought before, captured, chained, even tortured. Yet this was the first time she wasn't locked in a cage. She could break his neck anytime. Take the ship, escape. But something stopped her. This human didn't see her as a slave or a beast. He saw her as something else. She turned to face him, sitting at the pilot's chair, humming softly as he adjusted controls. His face was calm, focused. He looked ordinary, but deep inside, Zara knew he was not like the others. "Why did you really buy me?" Zara asked finally. Reed glanced at her, smiling. "I already told you," he said. "I need your help. But why me?" She pressed. "You could have hired mercenaries, bought a warship, anything." Reed chuckled softly. "Because no one can buy loyalty, Zara," he said. "I didn't want a soldier who fights for money. I wanted someone who fights because they choose to." Zara narrowed her eyes. "And what if I choose to kill you now?" she asked, her voice cold. Reed didn't flinch. "Then that's your choice," he said simply. "Ah, but I don't think you will." Zara paused, confused. "Why?" "Because you're tired of being someone's tool," Reed replied. "You want to choose your own fight?" His words hit something inside her. Part of her long buried beneath battles and blood, freedom not just from chains, but from being a weapon. "What's your plan, Captain Reed?" she asked, crossing her arms. Reed stood and walked to a panel, pressing a few buttons. A new hologram appeared this time, a strange map, showing coordinates deep within the Abyss sector. "There's an old station here," Reed said, "built by the first explorers centuries ago. No one goes there now, because it's surrounded by dead space." Zara tilted her head. "Dead space?" "Space where nothing survives," Reed explained. "No light, no signals, only whispers." Zara's eyes glowed softly. "That's where the Void Maw is," she guessed. Reed nodded. "Yes, I need to go there to find its heart." "It's weakness," Zara smiled faintly. "You're bold human," she said. "But boldness is not enough against something that eats planets." Reed smiled back. "That's why I have you." He said, "You're not afraid of being devoured," Zara's smile widened. "No, I'm not," she admitted. She stepped closer to Reed, her eyes serious. "But hear me, Reed. When this is over, if I live, I will go my own way. No debts, no masters, no chains." Reed nodded. "Deal," he said, offering his hand. Zara stared at the hand, then slowly shook it. It was the first time she had made a deal on her own terms. Later, Reed showed her the weapons locker. "Take whatever you need," he said. Zara looked at the guns, blades, explosives, but she only picked up a long black spear, its edges sharp like starlight. "This is enough," she said. Spinning it with grace, Reed watched her, impressed. "Why a spear?" he asked. Zara smiled. "It was the first weapon I ever held," she said, "before I became their weapon." That night, as the ship crossed into the edge of the abyss, the stars began to vanish. The blackness outside was thick, heavy, like it could swallow light itself. Zara sat silently, feeling the pressure in her mind. She could hear faint whispers, calling her name. Reed glanced at her. "Do you hear it?" he asked. Zara nodded. "Yes," she said. "It knows we're coming." Reed's face hardened. "Good," he said. "Let it know, because we're not running." Zara looked at him with respect for the first time. This human was more than bold. He was stubborn like her. The ship continued forward, into the dark. And Zara whispered to herself for the first time, "I choose this fight." The untamable alien girl had made her first real deal not of power, but of freedom, and the galaxy, whether it knew or not, was about to witness a storm. Asterisk in the middle of the blackness, where even stars refused to shine. Zara dreamed, but her dreams were not like others. She dreamed of the lab where she was made, of cold hands stitching her bones with metal, of voices calling her nothing more than a weapon, of eyes that feared her even as they built her when she opened her eyes. The ship was still gliding through the abyss, but the darkness outside felt alive, like something watching them, whispering, tempting. Reed was at the controls, his eyes heavy with focus. He looked at her, his voice low. "You were dreaming." He said, "I heard you whisper." Zara stood slowly. "I don't dream," she replied. "That was a memory." Reed didn't ask. He knew better than to dig into the past of a being like her. But Zara spoke anyway, surprising herself. "They made me to destroy," she said, her voice flat. "Designed by a race called the Olvari, long extinct. Now, they feared the Void Maw, so they made Ma'an answer to the monster." Reed turned to her, curious. "But if you were made to destroy it, why didn't they win?" Zara's eyes glowed faintly, "Because they waited too long." She answered, "They made me, but never freed me. They wanted control first, to ensure I wouldn't turn against them." She laughed bitterly, "And in their fear, they died, never using the very weapon they made." Reed stood silent, understanding her better now. "You were their last hope," he said. Zara nodded. "And now?" "I am my own hope." Suddenly alarms echoed in the ship. Reed rushed to the panel. "Something's coming," he warned. Zara's eyes turned sharp. "They're here," she whispered. The Maw's servants outside the window, shadows, moved, creatures made of smoke and bone. Swimming through the vacuum like fish in water, they circled the ship, their eyes glowing red. Zara stepped forward, gripping her black spear. "Stay here, Captain," she said. "This is my fight." Reed tried to protest, but her glare stopped him. She stepped into the airlock, the doors closing behind her. Outside, there was no air, no sound, but she didn't need either. Her body was made for war. Her skin thick, her lungs unneeded. The door opened, and she leaped into the black, spinning like a comet.
Ow.
The creatures charged at her, jaws wide, claws stretched, but Zara moved with grace and speed. Her spear sliced through them like paper, each swing a dance of death, but they kept coming. Endless. One bit her arm, tearing her skin but beneath. Metal bones shone. Zara roared silently, her body glowing with blue lines. Power woke within her, old and hungry. She slammed her palm into a creature's chest, and energy exploded from her hand. The monster dissolved into dust. Then she remembered. She wasn't just made of flesh and metal. She was a reactor of living energy. She had locked it away, fearing what she'd become, but now she let it rise. Her body glowed brighter, her eyes burning gold. Every strike of her spear became a blast of power. The shadows fell, torn apart by light from the cockpit. Reed watched in awe. "She's a star," he whispered, "a living star." Minutes later, Zara returned, her body still shining faintly. She looked tired but proud. "Are they gone?" Reed asked. Zara nodded. "For now," she said, "but more will come." Reed looked at her arm, still wounded, but before his eyes, the wound closed, the skin sealing with a faint blue glow. "You're more than a weapon," he said. "You're a miracle," Zara chuckled, sitting down. "Don't worship me yet, Captain," she teased. "We still have the real monster to face." But Reed smiled, because he knew now the girl everyone called Untamable was far more powerful than any legend. And deep inside her, a storm of energy waited to be unleashed. As the ship moved deeper into the abyss, the whispers grew louder, but Zara sat still, calm, ready. Because for the first time she was not running from what she was embracing it. And the Void Maw would soon find that the weapon it feared most was awake, and she was angry. There are places in the galaxy where even light forgets to shine. And now, Reed's ship floated right through one of those places. No stars, no planets. Only blackness alive. Watching, waiting, Zara stood by the main screen, her golden eyes narrowing. She felt it, deep in her bones, a presence older than time itself. A predator that didn't need teeth to kill it consumed souls. Reed checked the scanners, though nothing appeared. "The air feels heavy," muttered. Zara didn't respond, her eyes focused ahead. Then, in a whisper only she could hear, the voice returned. "Come closer, little light." It said inside her mind, "Come and burn for me." Her grip tightened around her spear. Reed noticed her tension. "You're hearing it, aren't you?" he asked. She nodded slowly. It knows I'm here, she said. It remembers my kind. Reed looked concerned. What do you mean remembers? Zara turned to him, her expression grim. My creators, the Alvera, didn't just make me to fight the Void Maw, she said. They made me from it. Reed froze. What? Zara's eyes dimmed for a moment. My bones. My power IT was made from pieces of the Void Maw itself, she explained. That's why I hear its whispers. That's why I was always dangerous. Reed stared, understanding now why. She was untamable. She was born part monster, part warrior, and now the monster was calling her home. Suddenly alarms screamed. The ship shook. Lights flickered. Reed checked the radar. Something massive was ahead, but the scanners couldn't show its shape, only a distortion. Zara stepped closer to the window. And then they saw it, a black shape darker than the void itself, moving, breathing, a living shadow bigger than a planet. With glowing red cracks across its surface, tentacles like mountains moved slowly, and countless eyes opened along its skin. Reed's mouth went dry. The Void Maw, he whispered. Zara stood still, her body trembling not with fear, but with recognition. She was staring at her origin, the thing her existence was made to destroy. It's beautiful, she said softly, and terrible. Ship's lights flickered again, and a deep voice filled the cabin, not through speakers, but inside their minds. You return to me, daughter of my flesh. The voice said to Zara, come and be whole again. Zara growled, shaking her head. I am no one's daughter, she spat. Reed grabbed her shoulder. Zara, can you fight that thing? He asked. She looked at him, uncertain for the first time. I don't know, she admitted, but I'll try. Reed opened the weapons locker, pulling out a heavy plasma rifle. I'll back you up, he said. Zara smiled faintly. You? Against that? Reed shrugged. Someone has to keep score. Suddenly, the ship was pulled forward by an invisible force. The Void Maw was drawing them in like a spider to its web. Zara stood ready, her body starting to glow again. But this time, something new awakened in her. Not just the power of her creators, but something deeper. Her own will, her own strength. She closed her eyes, focusing. Energy surged through her veins, the blue lines on her body glowing brighter. Her spear shimmered with light, sharper, deadlier. Red watched in awe. She wasn't just a weapon, she was evolving. The ship trembled, metal groaning as the Void Maw's gravity intensified. Reed prepared to fire, but Zara stopped him. Let me go first, she said. This is my fight. She stepped into the airlock again. But before the door opened, she looked back at Reed. If I don't come back, she began. But Reed shook his head. You'll come back, he said firmly. Because you're not just made of it, he said. You're better than it. Zara smiled, her first true smile of confidence. Then the doors opened, and she launched herself into the void, straight toward the waiting nightmare. And the Void Maw waited, hungry, patient, but for the first time in eons. It would not face a creation, it would face its own rebellion. The true battle had begun, and the galaxy held its breath. Asterisk in the heart of darkness, where no stars dared to exist, a single glowing figure raced toward the abyss. Zara flew like a comet, her body burning blue, her spear humming with deadly light. The Void Maw waited, its countless eyes blinking open. It had consumed planets, stars, even entire civilizations, but never before had one of its own pieces come back to fight. As Zara approached, the voice returned, thick and heavy. You are flesh of my flesh, light of my dark. It whispered inside her mind, return to me, and I will make you whole. Zara gritted her teeth. I was never yours, she spat. Then she screamed, not in fear, but in defiance. Her body exploded with light, casting a glow that pushed back the shadows from the ship. Red watched in awe. Zara was not just glowing, she was shining like a star. He had never seen anything so powerful and beautiful. Then the Void Maw attacked, its tentacles, thick as mountains, shot toward her. But Zara was faster. She spun her spear, slicing through them with blinding speed. Each strike caused explosions of dark mist, but the beast was endless. Suddenly, the Void Maw opened its mouth, if it could be called that, a giant, circular maw lined with teeth bigger than ships. It roared, the sound vibrating through space and mind. Reed covered his ears. Even inside the ship, Zara was thrown back by the force, tumbling through space. But she stopped herself, her eyes blazing gold. "Not today," she growled. She launched. Forward again, this time piercing a tentacle straight through. Her spear absorbed the dark energy, growing brighter, but the void maw adapted. It sent waves of psychic attacks trying to crush her mind. Visions of her creators, of chains, of pain, filled her thoughts. But then she heard another voice, Reed's voice. "Through the ships come, Zara. You're not theirs. You're you. You're free." The sound anchored her. She roared again, shaking off the visions. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed. The void maw hesitated, confused. Zara smiled. "You tried to break me with memories," she said, "but I've already broken my chains." She gathered energy into her spear, the blue light turning white-hot. She aimed straight for the void maw's core, the cluster of red eyes glowing at the center of its body. Red saw her intent and acted. He fired the ship's cannons, distracting the maw. Explosions of plasma hit its surface, making it thrash and rage. Zara used the opening, flying faster than ever. She aimed her spear like an arrow.
Ow.
And with a final scream, she struck the core. The spear pierced deep. The void maw let out a horrible sound. A scream that tore through the vacuum. Its eyes blinked wildly, its body shaking. Then light exploded from within. Zara was thrown far, spinning uncontrollably. But she smiled even as her vision blurred. Because she knew she had struck true. The void maw's body cracked, light pouring from its wounds. And then it collapsed inward, folding into itself until it vanished. Leaving only silence and distant stars, Red shouted in joy. But then he saw Zara floating, unmoving. "Zara. Zara, do you copy?" he called. No response. Without thinking, Reed piloted the ship straight to her. He opened the hatch, pulled her inside. Her body was still glowing, but faintly, her eyes closed. Reed knelt beside her. "Come on," he whispered. "You're not done yet. Wake up, partner," after a long moment. Her eyes fluttered open, golden and tired. She smiled weakly. "Did we win?" she asked. Reed laughed, tears in his eyes. "Yeah, we won," he said, "thanks to you, Zara." Breathed slowly for the first time. "I chose," she whispered, "not to destroy, but to save." Reed nodded. "You did," he said. "You're not a weapon, Zara. You're a hero." She smiled again, a real soft smile. Then she whispered, "I like that," as the ship drifted away from the battlefield. The stars slowly returned. Light had come back to the abyss. And Zara, the untamable girl, was no longer just a creation of war. She was the one who defeated the darkness on her own terms. Somewhere beyond the edge of the galaxy, a star was reborn. It wasn't made of gas or fire. It was made of flesh, will, and the choice to live. That star was Zara. She lay resting inside Reed's ship, her body still glowing faintly like embers. After a great fire, for the first time in her life, she wasn't a prisoner, a slave, or a weapon. She was just herself. Reed sat beside her, watching quietly. The human who had once been a stranger, now her first real friend. He had taken a risk buying her, freeing her, and trusting her. And in the end, she had saved not just him, but countless worlds. From the void maw, Zara slowly opened her eyes, golden light flickering inside. Her voice was weak but steady. "Is it gone?" she asked. Reed smiled. "Yeah," he said softly. "You killed it." She chuckled faintly. "I always wanted to kill a god," she said. Reed laughed. "You did more than that," he said. "We killed the nightmare." There was a long pause. Both of them sitting in the quiet hum of the ship. Then Zara turned her head to him. "So, what happens now, Captain?" she asked. Reed looked out the window at the stars. "Whatever you want," he said. "You're free." Those words hit her harder than any battle. She was free. No chains, no orders, no expectations. Zara sat up slowly, her body still sore but healing fast. "I don't know what to do with freedom," she admitted. Reed smiled gently. "Then figure it out with me," he said. "Stay, travel, fight, or just exist." She looked at him, surprised. You want me to stay? Reed nodded. Of course, he said. Not because I need a warrior, but because I'd like a friend. Zara was silent. She had never been anyone's friend before, but the idea warmed something deep inside her. She reached out and gently punched Reed's arm. I'll stay, she said for now. Reed grinned. That's all I can ask. Later. As the ship floated through peaceful space, Zara stood at the window again. She watched the stars, but this time they didn't look so far. They looked like possibilities, places to go, things to see, choices to make. She wasn't a monster, wasn't just a creation. She was Zaratha, the girl who killed the Void Maw and chose her own destiny. Reed walked up beside her, holding 2 cups of steaming liquid coffee. He said, offering one. She took it, sniffed it, then sipped. Her eyes widened. Bitter, she muttered, but smiled, but not bad. They stood together, staring at the galaxy before them, 2 beings from different worlds, different lives, but now partners, allies, maybe even friends, Reed said thoughtfully. I think the galaxy needs to hear this story. Zara raised an eyebrow. And who would believe it? She asked. Reed chuckled. Doesn't matter, he said. It's not about belief. It's about remembering. Zara sipped her coffee again. Then remember this, Captain, she said with a smirk. I'm not a weapon. Not anymore. I'm more than that. Reed raised his cup. To Zara, he said. The girl who killed the darkness. What? She raised hers too, clinking it lightly. 2 choices, she replied. The first real thing I ever owned. And with that, the ship continued its journey, not as the vessel of a lonely captain and his strange purchase, but as the home of 2 souls who had chosen to stand together, out there in the endless night. Light traveled slow, but legends traveled faster, and the legend of the untamable alien girl had just begun.